Hi guys, welcome to my workshop. I am Shaw. Today we will be building the ultimate workbench. It will be a series of episodes until the workbench is completely done. Let's do some DIY stuff. Yeah! Let's go to the woodworking section of the store. When selecting your lumber, it is important to look through every piece you pick, inspecting for any wood deformities or bends. This is all the material that I got. To prevent the wood from bowing in the new environment that it's in, I clamped it down together to prevent that. I made the plans for this bench on a program called Sketchup. This is my first time to design since my master course in Sketchup with a woodworker called Steve Ramsey on YouTube. The link is included in the description. So following the plans that I made, I started cutting all the lumber down to the exact measurements according to the cut list that I had. These are all the pieces that I will need to build my workbench. Let's go over to the table saw. Here I will be cutting one fresh edge on every piece of wood. Thereafter, I will be cutting all the pieces to their final width of 8 centimeters, and their average height is about 2.3 centimeters. Then it's time for assembly. We'll be starting off with the base assembly. Here the main form of joinery will be screws and glue. That's about it. I tried different methods, screwing it directly, using pocket holes and things like that. I assembled the legs off camera at a 90-degree angle, and then I started mounting them as well with the same glue and screws. After securing the legs to the base frame, I simultaneously mounted the bench top pieces to align the bench. I then flipped the bench over. I reused my old workbench casters for the bench mobility. A couple of days went by. I returned to finish up my workbench. Started off by making the base where my table saw will be mounted. I cut strips of plywood off camera to make a solid base. Then I reused my old workbench plywood top. I cut a section out so I can have a drawer below the table saw that will be collecting some of the dust that is made by the saw. The dust collection system on this saw is not the best. Since you have made it this far in my video, consider subscribing for upcoming workbench editions and other fun DIY projects. It would be greatly appreciated. I set and clamped my table saw frame 30 centimeters below the bench top, the same height as my table saw. I drilled an 8mm hole to the inside of the legs and the frame that will accept an 8mm thread. I extended the holes on the frame legs for later height adjustment of the saw to the bench top. I had pre-drilled pocket holes to the frame prior to assembling it to easily mount the top. After placing the frame, I put the bolts in the holes to be later adjusted to the appropriate height. To mount the MDF bench top to the frame, I decided to use pieces of plywood to mount the top from underneath, avoiding ugly screw holes on the top of my bench. I used pocket holes and glue to mount these pieces. Luckily, I had my little helper to make this process a bit faster. When it came to mounting my bench top, I then realized that my bench was not very square. I had to make some adjustments on the fly to see what possible plan I can make. I proceeded to clamping down the top to the frame and screwing from underneath. Once the top was mounted, I had to make a cutout for my table saw. I made a chamfered edge to the table saw area. I'll be later adding a wooden edge banding to the rest of the bench top sides and a laminate top to add protection to my bench top. I placed my table saw on the frame, then used quick clamps to adjust the height by reversing the clamping head. I hope you enjoyed this build as much as I did. Remember to like and subscribe before you leave. Stay tuned for more upgrades to my ultimate bench. My next video will be making a new table saw fence system and a DIY bench vise. Thanks for watching.